Dodgers fans, it's Thanksgiving and we've got a lot to appreciate. From the front office war room, to the voices in the booth, to the ownership group, and a modern baseball history deeper than any franchise in the game. Today, we're celebrating gratitude, Dodger Blue style.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Harry Ruiz. That's Travis Rodgers, and it's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, we know the offseason gets stressful, rumors get wild, signings get debated, but today we're slowing down and appreciating everything that makes the Dodgerverse one of the most incredible ecosystems in all of sports, because it's Thanksgiving, Travis.
It is. I can't wait. It's my favorite holiday of the year. I'm going to go eat my a turkey the size of my head. I cannot wait to do it. And I always love talking a little thankful Dodger baseball. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download that FanDuel app today.
You can catch more of Travis weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on 710 ESPN LA or on the ESPN LA app with the Travis and DeMarco show. As for me, I'm the Spanish play-by-play announcer for USC football. See y'all at the Coliseum for the game against the Bruins on Saturday. Go Trojans. And also the Las Vegas Raiders, who are also playing in LA this weekend against the Chargers. But when I'm not calling touchdowns, I'm right here doing what I love most, talking Dodger baseball. Are you new around here? Welcome to our family. Glad that you found us. If you're an everydayer, you already know what's up. You're the heartbeat that keeps Locked On Dodgers going. And let's start with that, Travis. Thank you to our community. Thank you to everybody that's everydayer here with us, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do this right here. They brought us because it was like, hey, let's try to get this show to the next level. And we just had the most successful month in history of Locked On Dodgers in October 2025. I understand getting into the World Series and winning a championship helps, but yes. The Dodgers, it's the second World Series in a row that they win, so there's also that. But thank you to everybody, to all our everydayers. Craig, I know I always see him on the premiere of the show on YouTube, but there's a big crew out there, ADK, a lot of folks that if I just start naming names, it's going to be the 30 minutes of today's show.
No, it really is special. And, you know, if you go to Dodger Stadium, and I know a lot of our everydayers get out there pretty regularly, and I know a lot of people are watching these games on television or listening to them on the radio, and you watch them when the Dodgers go to pretty much any of the other, 29 ballparks that are out there. There are Dodger fans in the stands everywhere. We are a powerful group. We are a proud group, and I am proud and thankful to be a part of it, because this is a team that has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember, and that we get to do this every single day in the middle of the golden age of Dodger baseball, surrounded by Dodger fans, is a real blessing.
And let's go a little bit behind the scenes. The bosses at Locked On Podcast Network, which you've been around for a while on this network, they reached out to you. Hey, do you know anybody who can do the Locked On Dodgers podcast? And you're like, you raised your hand immediately, right? You were like, I'm down. I love Dodger baseball.
That would be me. Yeah, I've been doing the Rams for many years, and I love talking. You can see right above my head here, if you're watching us on YouTube, I got my Rams helmets up there. But as much as I love the Rams, and the Rams have been really good to me too. We've gone to a couple of Super Bowls along the way, 1-1-2. It's been great, but I'm a baseball guy at heart. And when they asked, I said, yeah, I know somebody that would love to do it. His name is Travis Rodgers. Let's put him on and see what happens. And then they put the two of us together, and it's been, you are as passionate about this as I am. And it's wonderful to get to do it every day.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I saw the job listing online, and I was like, wait, about the Dodgers? Are you kidding me? Like, I literally, I'm a diehard Raider fan because I got a crazy uncle, shout out to my Tio Panda in East LA, in Montebello, who made me a Raider fan. And I get to call their games. I'm from LA. I get to call USC games. That's like a dream come true. And then you add being able to talk about the Dodgers every single weekday. It's nuts. It's awesome. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to our bosses, Jeff Carr, to everybody involved in decision making, that they chose us and that they put us here to be able to bring Dodgers content to everybody. And one of the main reasons that we're so happy talking about Dodgers content is because it's a machine, the Dodgers. They got the gold standard of modern baseball. And let's start with something that every other fan base envies: a franchise that wants to win and isn't afraid to act like it. And let's be grateful for this ownership group who isn't playing fantasy baseball. They're investing in an elite, sustainable contender every single season. They put their money where their mouth is every time.
Yeah, and it's not just a, hey, let's, and by the way, what I'm about to say is not a shot at the Padres, because I respect what they did, but Peter Seidler basically said, hey guys, let's just go for it. Let's just go for it and see what happens. But this is going to be one of these, they got up real high and it didn't work, and it's going to come down and it's going to be a real low period for them, because that's typically when you go for it, what happens. You kind of shoot your shot in that moment. If you hit, great, awesome. The Dodgers didn't do that. They've gotten up here and they just stay up there and they continue to make really good decisions. And I'm going to kind of reverse engineer this thing here a little bit, Harry. One of the things that I'm grateful for was how bad Frank McCourt was at this. Because think about this. If Frank McCourt was even moderately good at this, I don't even say that, just basically normal bad at this, like a lot of like Artie Moreno level bad at this, regular bad, just, doesn't know what they're doing, but not bad enough to bankrupt the team. Not bad enough to get people to stop coming to Dodger Stadium. Not bad enough to have baseball come in and say, what do you mean you guys can't make payroll? We got to cover your payroll. Not bad enough to where the entire thing was getting ready to collapse in on itself. If he were just slightly better than that, we'd still be dealing with that. We would not have gotten what we got, which is the Guggenheim group coming in, Mark Walter coming in, hiring Andrew Friedman, and putting together the golden age of Dodger baseball, because this is really unprecedented. We've seen other teams have great runs where they've won a lot of division titles and maybe a World Series here or there. We saw the Yankees do it. We've seen the Braves do it. We've seen some of this stuff before, but it doesn't come around very often. And that it's coming around in LA is exciting, because it really does feel like it's sustainable for a period of time beyond just right now, whether that's with Shohei Ohtani or Yamamoto or whoever the next big star may be. The Guggenheim group, Mark Walter, Andrew Friedman, they're going to make sure that thing is still humming along. You've seen the improvements they've made at the ballpark. The ballpark experience at Dodger Stadium is, in my opinion, second to none. And that they continue to just reinvest in the product is incredibly exciting. And I couldn't be more grateful that Frank McCourt was so bad at it that he couldn't make it work with the LA Dodgers and their millions of fans that he had to get out of the business.
Yeah, and that's something key where you look at this ownership group, and of course, everybody focuses on them spending millions and millions of dollars on players, but they also modernize the stadium, like you said, Travis. They invest a lot in player development. They fund a world-class coaching staff. They employ some of the best general managers, executive front office people that they can get. I mean, when you have Farhan Sahidi, who left to be the GM over with the Giants because he did such a good job with the Dodgers, it doesn't work out for him over there, and another team could hire him to get that post, and you bring him over as somebody that's Mark Walter's right-hand man to get decisions, and now he's even working to help the Lakers, to help the Sparks. That shows you it's like, hey, they're not scared of investing money, just with the goal being a simple one: win a World Series, and then win another one, and then win another one. And at the center of all this, let's say this: Andrew Friedman, the best front office in baseball. He's the leader of it. Nobody blends scouting, analytics, and development like the Dodgers do. Even though sometimes the analytics get to us like, man, what the heck are they doing? The results they've shown, they've proven, hey, they're doing the right moves.
And I think with it, when it comes to that analytic mindset, they've made an adjustment, a noticeable one, but a very, very good one, which is, look, we just witnessed it last year. The Dodgers basically for 162 regular season games said, we're good. No, we're not doing that. We're not going to do what we're going to get ready for October, and then we're going to play October baseball. And that was something they did for a very long time. But what's different is when they get in October, they kind of take that analytic mindset and slide it over here and say, okay, what works over 6 months doesn't work over 4 weeks. That over 4 weeks, you got to use your heart and your gut as much as you're using your brain, and do some things that you would never do during the regular season, whether we've seen the pitching and all of the other things. And I'm grateful that they decided to because you go back to that Diamondback series, you go back to the Padres series, you go back to some of those other postseason failures along the way. And it's like, well, what are they doing? It's like, well, this is what they did all season long. I'm like, yeah, I get it. What works in July isn't going to work in October. And I think they've made that recalibration on how to manage their team in October. And it's been incredibly successful. Lastly, for me on this one is, and we talked about this the other day, if you're an everydayer, this may sound familiar to you. They haven't, yet, put a deal together that's like, oh my God, we're stuck with that. It may happen. It probably will happen. When you're signing players to long-term deals, eventually you're going to get one that probably doesn't benefit you in the way that you're hoping for. But you look around baseball at some of these other long-term deals, you're like, oh my goodness, are they ever going to get out from underneath that? So far, the Dodgers have been so smart and so strategic that those long-term deals have not become an anchor around their neck. And that's an extraordinary accomplishment.
So to the ownership group, to Friedman, to the analytics group, to the scouts in the cold rain watching a single A game on a Tuesday night, today we're grateful for the machine behind this franchise. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, as Dodgers fans, we don't just have great baseball. We have the best broadcast team in all of sports, in my opinion.
The NBA is back. Yep, sure is. And there's no better place to get in on at NBA action than FanDuel, which is the official sports betting partner of the NBA, which means, let's say you miss the start of the game, you get stuck in traffic or whatever. Let's say you want to miss the start of the game, or you just want to watch the start of the game and not quite make your decisions yet. You want to see who's got that hot hand? Great. FanDuel, they've got live bets on everything from who's going to get that next score to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is coming back, making that late push, and you got a little something going on. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Check out our YouTube channel where you can subscribe for free. Smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and more. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers. All right, another thing to be grateful for, the Voices of Summer, a broadcast team built different, because let's be real. I mean, Vin Scully, he's the greatest of all time. It was going to be very tough to fill his shoes on a Dodgers broadcast where that used to be the only voice that we heard. And all of a sudden, once he retires, it actually got to the, I don't want to say the same level because he's the GOAT, but they're up there. Start with the play-by-play guys. Joe Davis, Steven Nelson, Tim Neverett. As somebody who calls games, I'll say I love listening to broadcasts that I enjoy. And these three guys, if it's radio, if it's TV, I love listening to them. And the three guys could be the #1 voice for a franchise on their own. And the Dodgers have them all.
Yeah, and we're spoiled for, and we have been for, 75 years, going back to when Vin Scully, Red Barber, and all those guys. And the way that I've always described the job that Joe Davis has done is Vin Scully is, like you said, Harry, the unquestioned greatest person to ever do that job. It's not close. There isn't a close second. No one has ever been as good at anything as Vin Scully was at calling a baseball game. Whether you're talking artists, heart surgeons, accountants, no one is better at what they do than Vin Scully was at what he did. And when he decided he was going to retire and no longer do it, the chasm that was waiting for the next guy incredibly huge and terrifying. Joe Davis walked in, started doing the job, and everybody went, okay. Think about how hard that is. That everybody it's like, oh, who's this guy? This is, no matter who was coming in, wasn't going to measure up. And it would have been, oh, this, we can't do this. We had Vin Scully, and everybody went, oh, this is really good. This is amazing. This is okay. Let's go. And there was no discussion. It was a seamless transition between the greatest broadcaster to ever do it to a guy that you see, look, there's a reason Fox picked him to call the World Series. There's a reason he's on Fox's NFL coverage, because he's as good at this as anybody else is that's doing it right now. And it's a pleasure to get to listen to him. I've gotten to know Steven a little bit through my radio show. He's terrific. I really like him on the radio with Rick Monday. I think they do a great job. I think they're both very funny in very different ways. We're very blessed to get to have those sorts of guys call these games. And they do such an amazing job and bring a level of humor and insight. And, it's a real treat.
How crazy is it to think that Joe Davis was 27 when he started calling road games for the Dodgers?
Get out of here. I mean, that's stupid. That's just that is not how that is supposed to. Those jobs, Harry, you know this. You are one of those guys. Those jobs are so hard to get. And you really don't get them when you're young. You have to just grind it out in minor leagues and college, high school, all of these other things, to just hope and pray that one day you get a chance to do USC or the Las Vegas Raiders or the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that he had one of those prime chairs in his 20s. Give me a break.
And replacing Vin Scully, who wasn't traveling for road games back then. So he was doing the road games. And then it was like, all right, man, he's the next guy up once Vin retires, and he took over. And now he's a national voice of baseball with Fox. That's amazing. Steven Nelson, I'll be honest, it took me a while to get used to it, but I really got to enjoy him a lot this season. And I really enjoy that he posts his clips of him from the booth on social media, and that his radio station expands it and everything. That's fantastic. They've made him a perfect fit. And Tim Neverett, I mean, he's a guy from out here from Las Vegas. His kid broadcasts the Las Vegas Aviators and the UNLV Rebels football team. He does a fantastic job. Shout out to Matt Neverett. And I really love it when Tim is on the call too. It's hard to get one good play-by-play guy. The Dodgers have 3. That's ridiculous.
Here's what I love the most about Steven Nelson, and I've told him this, and I've talked to Steven, and hopefully we'll have him on the pod before too long. Steven has similar feelings as my own about umpires, and about umpires drawing attention to themselves, and umpires really altering the course of at-bats and innings and games. And Steven is willing to say as much on the air, and I deeply, deeply enjoy that. So he and I are kindred spirits when it comes to looking at an umpire and just saying, what in the world is going on out there? So keep doing that, Steven, for sure.
And let's go now to the other part. The analyst, Oral Hershiser, Rick Monday, Nomar Garciaparra, Eric Karros, Dontrell Willis, Jessica Mendoza. I mean, that's an all-star crew right there that they have. Every one of them brings experience, personality, and an angle that only royalty in baseball can offer. And all of them, with the exception of Jess, are former Dodgers players that wore the uniform, that knows what it is to be in the shoes and the spikes of those players on the field.
Yeah, you look, I'm not going to recuse myself from this but Oral Hershiser has become a friend of mine over the last several years. So I am so far in the bag for him. It's ridiculous. I think that he's an amazing broadcaster. I think that he brings, to your point, Harry, an insight to the game that I find endlessly fascinating. And I really like kind of the yin and the yang of when he's doing a game, because he obviously watches the game from the pitcher's mound, and he explains the game from the pitcher's mound about how to attack hitters, about how the defense is going to be aligned to help the pitcher. And just he sees baseball through a pitcher's lens. Obviously, he was one of the great pitchers in Dodger history. And then you transfer to Eric Karros, who does the exact opposite. He looks at the game through an offensive player's lens. He looks at it through a hitter's perspective and what the pitcher's trying to do him and the approach that you bring there. And I think those two guys, the different angles that they give you depending on who's in the booth that day, are just absolutely terrific. They're both funny. Karros is a little more critical than Oral is. Oral's a little slower to criticize. But yeah, it's great. But Oral has become a friend of mine and somebody that I'm very lucky to get a chance to chit chat with on a regular basis. And we'll get him on this pod too before too long.
Hey, and let's not forget, Oral, he was with the national broadcast with Sunday Night Baseball
Oh, yeah.
for a while. So he's been doing it now for over a decade, and he's very, very good at it. And we enjoyed it. And look, a huge shout out to the on-field reporters, where other times that I see broadcasts from other teams, no disrespect to them, so I won't say the name of who or which teams, I don't feel that the on-field reporters bring much to the broadcast. The Dodgers, it's the complete opposite. I love what Kirsten Watson and David Vassay do. Vassay has been with the team for a long, long time on the radio broadcast. Kirsten has now been on, if I recall correctly, 5 years, or not 6, with the team. They are as connected to that team as anybody. And you see all the ball busting with Vassay, and that only happens when you have that type of trust with the players. If the players don't trust you, they ain't going to treat you that way. Maybe they don't do it with Kirsten because she's a lady, so they're not going to go past that line. But with Vassay, they do it because they have that confidence, and that gives you that extra perspective that you don't receive with other people interviewing the guys.
I think you put your finger right in the center of the bullseye. You can tell that the players, that Dave Roberts, that the coaches, that the other broadcasters up in the booth, they're all on the same page, and they trust the people that are down on the field, because you're not teasing people that you don't like, or to your point, that you don't trust. That you're not opening up in a way to people that you don't trust, and they do. The players open up, the coaching staff opens up, and it's a great testament to the trust that they've earned, because you just don't show up and get it because you're down there. You get it because you're down there and you listen and you ask smart questions, and they learn to trust you and understand where you're coming from, and everybody that's been a part of that's done a terrific job.
And I have to shout out my guy, Jerry Hairston Jr. Nobody brings more passion, honesty, and edge to a pregame or postgame show than Jay Hair. Top tier talent, period. My guy, Jay Hair, I salute you. I loved him as a Dodger player. And hey, he represented Mexico for the World Baseball Classic, so that also puts him a little extra. John Hartung, it ain't easy being the quarterback of a crew of stars, and he does it better than anybody. I mean, Dodgers fans, not every organization has this luxury. Some teams have one good broadcaster, some have none. The Dodgers, they have an army of excellence when it comes to people on the mic.
Yeah, they really do. And I'm glad you brought up John Hartung. He does a great job too. And he was out actually at Legends Attic not that long ago. Because of through Oral, I've gotten to meet all of these people, and it's been great. And like you said, when you got a rotating cast of characters, and I'm with you. I think Jerry Hairston's awesome too, but he's bouncing off the walls someday, and to be able to kind of, bring everybody together and make a coherent broadcast, it could be a real feat. And John Hartung does a great job.
Next on Locked On Dodgers, we zoom out because the Dodgers aren't just a team. They're a legacy, the history, the heroes, the heartbreaks, and why even the tough times are something that we are grateful for. The NFL season is here. Wow, we're more than halfway through the 2025 season, and honestly, there's nothing better than being at the stadium surrounded by fellow fans cheering on for your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, PSLs, prices jumping at checkout, it's just frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets, delivered on time, and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets before. Their zone deals, they're clutch. Pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rodgers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Legacy, the legends, and the sweetness of the journey. Because when you talk about gratitude in Dodgerland, you can't stop at the present. You have to look at the story that got us here. Brooklyn, Ebbets Field, Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier, the greatest moment in baseball history, of course. Pee Wee Reese standing beside him, Duke Snider towering as a hero of the generation, and then the move west. Los Angeles becomes a baseball town. Sandy Koufax delivers dominance that still feels mythical. Fernando Valenzuela creates Fernando Mania, igniting cultures and generations. Oral Hershiser Bulldog run. Kirk Gibson limping around the bases in one of the most iconic home runs of all time. Clayton Kershaw carving his way into baseball immortality. I mean, this franchise right here, Travis, has a heartbeat built across eras, across heroes, across cities, and we are definitely grateful for that.
Think about how you could find a Dodger fan that is 90 years old, and you could find one that is 9. And every single person in between is going to have their own version of Dodger baseball that means the most to them. And almost without exception, there's going to be a lot of success and a lot of icons and a lot of history in there. To your point, going back to Brooklyn days, and they couldn't beat the Yankees, and they finally get over the hump, to Jackie Robinson that you mentioned, to coming to LA and kind of being homesteaders out here on the West Coast as far as professional sports goes. There was nothing really west of the Mississippi River until the Dodgers and the Giants came out here. And now you look and the West is filled with professional sports teams. The Dodgers get credit for that. Vin Scully, I think, gets a lot of credit for that, for making people baseball fans out here the way that he did. And then you just kind of go through it. Like you mentioned, all the great players. You know, I fell in love with this team because of that infield of the 1970s, where you had Garvey, Lopes, Russell, and Say. And then, of course, shortly thereafter, Fernando Valenzuela shows up. And, you know, you fall in love with that generation. Then here comes Oral Hershiser. And then here comes Clayton Kershaw. It's just this wave of excellence. And somebody right now that's 8 years old is growing up a Dodger fan. And Shohei Ohtani is the center of their universe. And he should be, right? He absolutely should be. And, you know, believe it or not, there's going to come a time in the not super distant future where it's not Ohtani anymore. It's some guy that's, you know, in the 4th grade right now that we don't even know his name. And he's going to show up and be the next great Dodger. And it just keeps going and going and going. And it's a pleasure to be a part of it.
No doubt about it. And you know what, Travis? This might sound weird, but I'm grateful for the wait, for the heartbreaks, for the seasons that ended too soon, because they make the successes sweeter. They make the journey richer. They make the moments unforgettable. I remember being at a bar in Las Vegas in October 2020 when the Dodgers won that pandemic World Series. I was crying of joy because I had to wait from 88 till 2020 for the Dodgers to win a World Series. I remember going to the World Series in 2018 against the Red Sox for the first time, my first ever World Series game. And when the national anthem's playing, I was like, I'm here. And I had tears in my eyes. And I was like, this is the second World Series for the team since 1988. I'm enjoying this moment. And if we didn't have all those heartbreaks in the past, those early exits, those no qualifications to the postseason, they wouldn't have tasted the same. And now that we won back-to-back World Series championships, we're enjoying it even more because of those heartbreaks.
This close. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, I'm holding my fingers about a quarter of an inch away. They were that close to losing the World Series, Harry. They were that close to losing the World Series if Will Smith doesn't get back on the plate. And, you know, do we love the Dodgers still? Of course. Do we feel the way that we do right now? No. You know, it's like, let's run it back as quickly as possible. And this is what makes it fun. They get killed by the Red Sox in that 2018 series that you mentioned. They get absolutely, ripped off in 2017, the way that the Astros did what they did. They finally break through in 2020, but it's not quite the same thing because, the world is upside down and no one's quite sure what's going to happen next. And it's happening in Texas against a team from Florida. It's just a bizarre situation. And then finally, in 2024, they pound the Yankees. They have that incredible comeback from 5-0 down in the 5th inning to what we saw last year. And, you only get to the top after you fall down a few times. And it was great. And I can't imagine what it's got to be like for the Toronto Blue Jays fans right now to know that they came this close to winning the World Series and it didn't go their way. But, it could go the exact opposite way next year. And you just never know. And that's what makes it fun.
Man, and I mean, you look at every small moment throughout 9 innings, moments that change the game. It's like when Bichette hit that 3-run home run, I was on the air calling USC Nebraska. I was looking at it on my tablet. I was like, man, we just lost the World Series. We started getting closer, but then they respond, and it's like, this is over. Miguel Rojas hits that home run. I'll remember that moment for the rest of my life. Sure. Will Smith hits that home run. I'll remember that moment for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, the double play got spoiled because my broadcast on Fox 1 got delayed a little bit, and the people in front of the bus, they were watching it. So I heard double play, and I still hadn't seen Kirk hit that ball. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't care. We just won the World Series again when we had a very little chance to be able to come back, because everybody wanted Shohei up there for him to be the hero. But thank God it was Miggy Rowe, because I would have been a nervous wreck if we had been down to our final out with Shohei Ohtani up there. And you never know if he would have delivered or not. Miggy Rowe did, and we are where we are today, spoiled again, enjoying baseball with a roster overflowing with talent and superstars everywhere you look.
Go back to the the division round, where a Kerkering throws a ball away that lets the Dodgers advance to the next round. I mean, there were so many different moments, and I can't wait till we get into maybe February, Harry, and just when we're starting to start spring training again. And I want to go back and just relive the 2025 World Series, because we could do a show on each game, and it would be a good show, because Will Klein and the catch and Guerrero hitting a ball to center field. They're like, okay, that's gone. They lost it. Oh, that's gonna stay in the ballpark. To Yamamoto pitching them back. There are just
Game 4 of the NLCS. Historic by Shohei.
Yeah, the Shohei, the ultimate Shohei game. There's so many things, and I can't wait to relive it all over again. I wish I could erase my memory and just go through and watch it in real time again, because I mean, the one out that Clayton Kershaw got in the World Series, that was the most stressful out I've ever seen in my entire life, and ends with Tommy Edman having to flip it with his glove along the way. Just everything about it made me want to throw up and celebrate at the same time.
We are grateful for a team that expects to win and has the firepower to back it up. Dodgers fans, we are living in the golden age of Dodger baseball. And on Thanksgiving, that's worth celebrating. All right, that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Before we wrap up, quick reminder, we're going idle tomorrow for Black Friday, but we'll be back on Monday. And somehow, I can't believe this is real, Travis. Monday is already December 1st. This year's flying by.
It means we're getting closer to spring training, though, Harry, which means we're getting closer to the start of the 2026 season, and can't get here fast enough.
And going for a three-peat, baby. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue.